What is something that sounds futuristic but is happening now?
Robotic prosthetic limbs. I know a guy who lost his arm from a construction accident. He now has an arm that has a fully articulated hand, and is good enough that he can even write with it, though not very well. He said it's worth about $500,000, and also it has done wonders for his ability to hook up with women. I guess a lot of people are curious, and that starts off the conversation. mRNA vaccines are being created for malaria, cancers, a universal flu vaccine. All kinds of previously incurable illnesses are about to be history. On my first day at Northrop Grumman, I stopped by my new director's office to say hello. There were robots roaming the hallways doing simple security checks that security guards used to do, like ensure that no doors were accidentally left ajar and that unoccupied, restricted spaces were armed. Private companies launching rockets into space like it's no big deal. You can literally walk outside one night and think, what TF is that? And someone will tell you, oh, that's just the latest SpaceX launch. And you go about your business. I still feel a tiny bit blindsided by lab-grown meat suddenly being commercially viable. Would not have predicted that one. Those drone light shows too. What year was it where radio-controlled drones just kind of showed up, and became commonplace? I think around 2015 was when they really took off. Being able to control objects with your brain. I know it's still in its infancy, but the fact that we can even attempt to stuff like that is crazy. Something I just noticed the other day. CFL light bulbs became popular and all but got replaced by LED bulbs, all within the lifespan of a single bulb. I was replacing a bulb the other day that was a CFL, and I remember the last time I replaced it, the previous bulb was an incandescent. I was born in the early 80s, so practically everything. I literally own most of the sci-fi gizmos I saw on TV as a kid, or even cooler versions of it. Virtually all medical news is mind-blowing. CRISPR Cas9. Research into telomeres and anti-aging, nanotechnology is actually real. Self-driving cars are kinda already around but are getting better all the time. Edit. Swapped alleles for telomeres. One of those genetic words, I tell ya. Facebook is integrating Oculus Rift support. I'm not sure what's available to the public, but in-house, they are having 3D meetings like in Star Wars. They can project and manipulate a screen in 3D like the 3D map in the first Ray movie. It doesn't wrap around you yet, it hovers in front, but it will. My friend works for FB in the AIDPT. The first software I tried out was a demo for medical education. I saw a life-size human and I could use gestures to look at his different body systems, right in front of me, like on the holodeck. You turn the system on by holding up your palm like a wizard and an interactive sphere appears in your hand. I'm fourth generation of an excavating company and some of our surveying techniques now are unbelievable. When we started in the 60s, you used a contraption called a theodolite and prism, a fancy level used to measure the distance and elevation change of the prism. One of the fondest memories I'll ever hold happened 2 months ago, shortly before my grandpa, the founder, passed away. I showed him how to survey a 30-acre site with a drone in about 45 minutes, all automated, something that would have taken a crew well over a week in his time. I then took the data, had it processed, and showed him the prints of the site right on site with my laptop. He cried. I have a device that fits into my pocket. I can get virtually every bit of information produced by the human race if I know what buttons to push. It's also voice activated, so I can just talk to it and figure out when my flight leaves or where the nearest fresh tomatoes are being sold. Rockets landing upright. To me it looks like bad special effects, because it was never in any good movies. I've been a type 1 diabetic since 1982. Back when I was first diagnosed, I had to pee on a stick and match the color up to colors on the vial to see approximately what my blood sugar was a couple hours ago. Now I have an animatronic fish that tells me what my sugar levels are and I don't even have to prick my finger. We truly are living in the future. A brain-machine interface that lets people see with their tongues. Geordie LaForge's visor is comparatively low-tech. Even better, its prototype was created in the 1960s. The one now under use is simply a more refined version of the same principle. The guy involved in this, Bakwai Rita, has gone on to design several other items that use sensory substitution, stuff that is used by NASA and Navy SEALs. Here's a paragraph about him. He has been working on other sensory substitution inventions as well. He received NASA funding to develop an electronic, feeling, glove for astronauts in space. Existing space gloves were so thick that it was hard for the astronauts to feel small objects or perform delicate movements. So on the outside of the glove he put electric sensors that relayed electrical signals to the hand. Then he took what he learned making the glove and invented one to help people with leprosy, whose illness mutilates the skin and destroys peripheral nerves so that the lepers lose sensation in their hands. This glove, like the astronaut's glove, had sensors on the outside, and it sent its signals to a healthy part of the skin, away from the diseased hands, where the nerves were unaffected. That healthy skin became the portal of entry for hand sensations. He then began work on a glove that would allow blind people to read computer screens. Saw the recent news of the Israeli-Hamas conflict, including footage of Iron Dome being used. I remember seeing the prototypes of that system in a Future Weapons documentary on TV years ago, but was never really sure if or when it entered active service. So yeah, we have rockets that shoot down other rockets now and might have for years already. Machines that can record dreams. It's still pretty early on, but it's something that they are working on. Here information on a project by Japanese researchers and a video of how it kinda looks. Your phone's camera might have a focus system that uses a sensor that can detect single photons. Your phone likely also uses quantum tunneling to create random numbers used for encryption. If you look into some of the methods deployed by the CIA during the Cold War, they already sound like future stuff. Now imagine what is going on today, 40 years later. If you think about it, microwaves are actually insanely futuristic. Easily heat up food within literal seconds versus waiting 20 minutes for an oven. Now I just can't wait for the instant pizza from Back to the Future. A program that is able to generate almost any photo using short text input. A San Francisco street. Done. Avocado chair. Yes, why not? A photo of buildings of Poland. Yes, it can do that. It can generate almost any stock photo you can imagine, like any. You can add parameters, lighting, ask to specific picture in the room. It uses 12 billion of pictures and descriptions to do this. There are two downsides of course. The first one is lots of computational power. The second is that the program is losing the track after few parameters. Also it can do only 100x 100 pixels at the time, but it will change fast. It's called DALL-E and was premiered this year. It's an AI made by OpenAI. Terrific and amazing at the same time. I can call time travel to a plastic owl with a hole in its head, containing a speaker that I address as Alexa. It turns my lights on, makes them purple, and starts playing a playlist from Spotify. After 25 minutes, it turns the lights back off and kills the music. In China, they are using AI to identify Uyghur Muslims from the rest of the population. It detects classic Uyghur features, based on complexion and facial features. It's the world's first instance of automated racial profiling. Artificial intelligence. If you told me when I was 8 that there are machines that could improve itself by learning things, I would have never believed you. Your computer can easily multiply two numbers in the time it takes for the light leaving the screen to reach your eye. CRISPR gene editing. People's genes can literally be edited. Basically, people get this enzyme called Cas9, a nuclease, inserted into their DNA somehow, don't know how, maybe an injection. And Cas9 slices the target strand of DNA open, allowing a sequence to be taken out and replaced with something else, which can then be transcripted into RNA, translated into a protein, and used in the body. It's mostly being used right now for gene therapy, stuff like sickle cell anemia, and agriculture, but it's crazy to think about what it could be used for in the near future. It's kind of controversial because people don't like the unnaturalness of it, like people's dislike of GMOs, and I can see their point. I just think it is very intriguing and revolutionary, and I will be interested in seeing what happens with it in the future. Artificial intelligence. If you told me when I was 8 that there are machines that could improve itself by learning things, I would have never believed you. I used to think face timing was crazy as a kid. I'd see it in sci-fi shows and think how fucking cool would it be to speak to someone over video in real time. They can see you, you can see them. Now it's just a more involved phone call. It still flips my internal child mind. I can call time travel to a plastic owl with a hole in its head, containing a speaker that I address as Alexa. It turns my lights on, makes them purple, and starts playing a playlist from Spotify. After 25 minutes, it turns the lights back off and kills the music. The fact that humans are capturing and containing antimatter for study is amazing. The fact that we can store it longer than a year at a time is extraordinary.